All right, welcome back to the Elias Macos Show. Now, if you own an electric vehicle in Quebec, or if you're considering getting an electric vehicle, there is some news. The Quebec government says they want to start billing EV owners who use public fast charging stations not for the length of their charge. Right now, they're billed by the minute, but for the amount of electricity consumed. This comes as North America gears towards a shift in adopting kilowatt-hour pricing. Let's take a look at what exactly that means. Daniel Breton joins us. He's president and CEO for Electric Mobility Canada. Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Hi, I'm happy to be back.
So let's talk about this because, I know it's one thing when you have an electric car and you plug your car at home or you use one of those chargers on the street. This all has to do with the fast charging, the stuff you use on road trips, the stuff you use when you really quickly want to charge. Tell us why these changes are being made.
Well, very simply because it's a much fairer way to calculate how much people will have to pay when they get when they charge at a fast charger. You have to keep in mind that at home we are being billed already per kilowatt hour, and the issue now is has to do with the fact that depending on the brand of vehicle, the model that you own, charging from 20 to 80% for some cars can take 15, 20 minutes. Some other cars, it can take more than an hour. It doesn't mean that you get more energy in. It just means that the car takes longer to charge. So I think in order to be fair, people need to be charged relatively in coordination with the amount of energy that you put in.
Okay, so
which makes a lot more sense that paying by time.
Okay, well, so on the question of fairness, this is where I don't know if I'm convinced, right? Because, some people have these cars that charge too slow. The manufacturers, and nobody talks about this, there are certain manufacturers out there that are producing cars that don't charge quickly, and they take an hour when other competing cars can do the same charging in 15 minutes, and they have to take up the slot. It's a limited resource. You go to one of these circuit electrics, right? Maybe there's only 2 high-speed chargers, sometimes 4, right? And if they're all full and somebody has to stay there for an hour instead of 15 minutes, shouldn't they have to pay more?
No, because why would they be penalized? Because they're buying a vehicle that is not as performing, So to me, the issue, keep in mind that the first generation of vehicles from the Nissan Leaf, the Chevrolet Bolt, and all these vehicles cannot charge as quickly as the newer vehicles. So as time goes by, all the new models coming to market are not limited to charging at 35 or 50 or 60 kilowatts. Mm-hmm. They go to 100, 150, 250, 350 kilowatts. So it means that the newer generation of vehicles will all be a lot faster to charge than the first generation of EVs. Oh, okay. So why would we penalize those who invested in buying an EV 6, 7, 10 years ago because they bought vehicles that were not as sophisticated as those ones are today?
Okay, so I can see that argument that eventually we will get there. Here's one thing, that I scratch my head on is the actual cost, right? So let's say you have, a modest, small SUV electric vehicle, and the battery size is 75 kilowatts, okay? That's the battery size. I think that's probably an average of the small SUV space, okay?
Yeah, 60 to 75 kilowatt hours, pretty much the average. Yeah.
There you go. So if they're going to charge, I think it's 52 cents is what they want to charge per kilowatt.
Approximately,
right? So let's do 50 cents to make the math easy. You end up paying for that charge $37.50. To go, let's say, to go 300 kilometers, let's say, 400 kilometers, let's say, depending on your efficiency of your vehicle. Boy, it strikes me as expensive, Daniel. I thought the electric future would be a little cheaper.
Well, actually, the person is not going to pay for, let's say it's 75 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
And you're charging from 20 to 80, so it's 60% of 75. So it's 40 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
So it's about $20.
About $20, but then of course you're getting the same type of range. Like the range is also like if you only charge up 50% of your battery, you're charging up 50% of your range at the same time, right?
Absolutely. But you always have to keep in mind that the vast majority of charging happens at home. So
Absolutely, yes.
this is when you travel. When you travel, because I've had this conversation a few times before with EV owners. If most of the charging happens at home, but we still need to have fast chargers, while we're traveling, we need to make sure that these fast chargers can be self-financed. Let's put it that way. So they have to be at a price which will make sure that these chargers can be operating, can be maintained, can be reliable. So 50 cents per kilowatt hour is approximately where we are now. It's still cheaper than when you put gas in a vehicle. Because I did a calculation, I went down to North Carolina. I was paying about approximately 50 cents per kilowatt hour. It cost me to go to North Carolina. It's 1,500 kilometers. It cost me $126. If I had driven a gas car, loaded as much as my car was, because I was full of luggage on top of the vehicle and surfboards and all that, it would have cost me approximately $180, even if the price of gas is cheaper in the U.S. So it's not as cheap as if you charge at home, but it's still cheaper. But as I said, 80 to 90% of the time, we do charge at home.
Okay, so and this, Daniel, because I'm on Team EV. I'm the biggest cheerleader for an electric car, but I also want to make sure we're getting a good deal, right? So on the question of fairness, the reason why I scratch my head is I look at the rate in Quebec and Quebec has the cheapest hydro rates in North America by many metrics, right? And then I look at what they're paying in Ontario. So it would be one thing if Ontario was paying $1 per kilowatt and we're paying 50 cents, then I'd be like, oh, this makes sense. But it seems like we're paying the same amount as places that have far more expensive electricity bills.
So about that. So I don't know if you're aware of the fact that the government of Quebec unveiled its new electric vehicle infrastructure strategy about a month and a half ago.
Yes.
So when they announced it, they said that approximately 2/3 of the fast charger that would be installed in Quebec would not be under a circuit électrique. It would be private companies installing their own chargers. Level 2 chargers, it's going to be 95% private. So my point is that those companies want to be able to charge a rate that's going to be high enough for them to be able to make a profit and maintain the chargers. So to me, the issue is that one. It's the fact that we want to make sure, because we are getting subsidies from the federal government and the Quebec government to install chargers, especially fast chargers. But when they cannot make a profit, they don't maintain that.
Yes.
That's the reason why some of those chargers are not just not working, because the business model is not there.
Yeah.
So what we have seen is that at 50 cents per kilowatt hour, they can make enough money so that they will maintain that. But not only that, I'm expecting in the next few months, the federal government in the new round of financing, they will say, we will give you money if your chargers are working.
They're gonna put in a reliability clause, which is desperately needed on the non-Tesla side of things. Boy, they need a reliability clause.
Exactly.
Daniel, we have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your insight.
Have a good day.
Daniel Breton is president and CEO of Electric Mobility Canada.